Hi, Ivana. Thank you for joining me.
Nicole. Thank you for having me.
Not a problem. Yeah, it's really cool because I've been your friend on Instagram for some time and sort of seen your work and stuff and always wanted to connect. So I'm really glad you could join me and everybody.
Thank you so much.
And this is a special post, actually. This is the 51st blog post for iPad calligraphy. So
Wow.
it's been going a little while, and that's a special one. So it's really cool. Awesome. So tell us a bit about yourself, your bio, or just a little bit of background.
Yeah, I'm a freelance lettering artist and designer. I started with graphic design actually and kind of switched to lettering later. And I've been working on it for maybe 4 or 5 years now. Not just the lettering, but the design and everything. I'm self-taught,
Mhm.
and it's been a rough ride. Oh,
Right.
I can say that. Yeah,
Really, what do you mean, like learning wise, or kind of?
yeah. Learning everything by yourself is really really hard
Yeah, right.
because you don't have a teacher and someone to give you feedback and to kind of guide you through the process. So you have to do everything yourself, and
Yeah,
that's I think that's the hardest part of learning by yourself,
for sure.
not having a teacher to
Yeah, and
guide.
I guess you can sort of live with mistakes without knowing that they're mistakes for a long time,
Yeah,
and then
yeah,
you kind of form habits, don't you? Bad habits that
yeah, bad
eventually,
habits, yeah. And
yeah.
then later you figure out you have a bad habit and you have to break it, and the process continues, but it's actually pretty fun,
Yeah,
doing that process and figuring stuff out.
yeah.
When you figure something out and you have that moment, oh right, that's how it's done. Okay,
Sure.
I can do that better. Yeah.
Yeah, and we're so lucky, aren't we? I mean, like with the variety of resources that are available everywhere, and
Oh yeah.
it's just there's so much on offer that I don't think people have always had.
Yeah.
Only been the last kind of whatever 5, 7 years that we've got these amazing resources we can.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
When I started, it was lynda.com at the time. And I think Skillshare was free then for a while. Yeah.
Those are
So
the
those were the two of my favorites at the
uh,
time.
yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, there's nothing like doing like an online course as well, is there? I quite like. I've invested quite a lot in studying and online courses, and I do appreciate that because in some ways it just makes me complete it. Quite often, if I start a free course or I log into something that's a subscription service, I tend
Mhm.
to not complete it. But I find if I've got skin in the game in the form of money,
Yeah.
I'll
Yeah.
make sure to fit it in, and yeah,
It's added motivation for finishing what you started.
definitely. So
Yep.
you're originally from Croatia, I think. I
Yes.
found from browsing your website. And
Yeah.
now you're in Germany, is that right?
Germany.
Okay,
Yes.
cool. What took you to Germany?
Husband.
Ah, is he German?
uh, no, he's also Croatian, but he left
Okay,
first, and then I followed.
cool.
He has a job here, and I stayed home and work from home.
Yeah. Okay, cool. And you're in Kiel? Is that how you pronounce it? Kiel?
Kale.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. And what's your husband do?
He's a IT technician
Oh,
here in one company, and his hours are really really crazy. So I
really?
get all this time at home that I can dedicate to my work. So
Yeah, mixed bag, isn't it? Like, yeah.
yeah, mixed. Yeah, definitely. I want him to come home soon,
Yeah,
and
hang out.
when yeah, and that's when I usually stop work. But
Yeah,
it adds up to a lot of hours because his hours are really really crazy.
yeah. So you're
Yeah.
almost like working at the same hours, but just
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, awesome. On that, so you've got a home studio set up, do you? You have like a different office room, or do you sort of use?
No.
Yeah.
I have two tables.
Yeah.
One table is in my living room where my Mac is and where I work digitally.
Yeah.
And in my bedroom,
Mhm.
I have a table for traditional tools and
Yeah.
everything, paints and
That's
inks,
so
and
nice.
brushes.
But I love that you've got like an art
Yeah,
table almost, you know,
yeah, yeah,
get a bit
yeah.
dirty and kind of have it cluttered and
Oh yeah,
you
yeah. It's really a mess most of
it
the time.
definitely, it definitely though would encourage you to be more creative offline, wouldn't it? Because part of what you
Yeah.
taught me, I originally started with the dip pen
Mm-hmm.
calligraphy, and what
Yeah.
used to sort of prevent me practicing regularly was the setup. But having stuff
Mhm.
just out and ready to go,
Yeah.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
And
That
that
that's
is your style, isn't it? Like
mm,
you kind of mix traditional with digital. Is that right?
yeah. Yeah. I have this phases.
Mhm.
You know, sometimes I'm all digital. I'm in the mood for digital, and then I see something or I have inspiration about something, and I need traditional tools for that. Or I just like to sit down and practice strokes.
Yeah.
That's kind of meditative. I don't know how to say
I'm
the word.
glad you said that because
Yeah,
I totally think that. I just love it. You can get into such a zone with just
yeah,
practicing like drills. It's sort of
yeah.
a way to just focus and yeah, relax. That's awesome.
Relax, yeah, and
Yeah.
just sit down and far away from the computer, from emails, from everything.
Yeah.
Sorry,
That's okay.
I, I have a Alexa, but it's a wake word.
What did Alexa think you said?
No, we set it up to computer wake word. So when I say computer,
Oh my god, isn't this funny when we get to the point where we whisper around our like technology so it can hear us? It's
I
ridiculous.
completely forgot to turn her off for this because I knew I was gonna say computer.
Okay. Don't
Sorry.
make Alexa. So on that, do you kind of have like definitely drills? That's awesome. I agree. Like total
Yeah.
self-care sort of stuff. What else do you do to sort of avoid burnout? Do you have any kind of routine? What's your day look like? Your routine?
Well, mostly it's just morning coffee and then emails, and I kind of have a list of weekly things that I want to take care of, and then I pick what I'm gonna do that day. If there is something client work or something that goes first, and then I kind of take care of that first. So I have the afternoon for something creative,
Yeah,
for example,
yeah.
and then mostly uh, it's just exploring, or I already have an idea of what I want to work on, and then I just go into that. And for burnout, I still haven't figured out how to how to avoid that.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's a real thing.
yeah. Do you take breaks sort of through the day, or do you find that is your work broken up in context enough that you don't need to, or kind of what?
Well, I do take smaller breaks,
Mhm.
like really tiny breaks throughout the day, but mostly just when my husband comes home. That's the biggest break from the morning that I make.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's just, I always have to do something. I don't know what it is. I just always something, or I don't know, planning, or you have to take care of your social media,
There's always
so I
something
kind of
touch
have to.
point that you're working on it. Yeah.
Yeah, when I get tired of a task, I kind of switch to a different one
It's
and
a
then go
blessing and
back.
a curse, isn't it? Because I
Yeah,
find, it's great that we get all this variety in our workflow and there's all these
yeah,
different challenges and all these different talents and skills that you get to use. But
oh
in
yeah.
another way, it's like it's hard to know when to stop. And like, I
Mm.
think we're finding it difficult to be bored now, aren't we? And sort of
Yeah,
that
yeah,
shutdown period is really important. And it's really easy to not do it.
Yeah,
I definitely suffer from that.
definitely.
We've got a river nearby in the area, and I just take walks to try and get away from the
Mhm.
computer and, switch off. But yeah, often same sort of. So, do you plan out your week on the weekend generally, or at the end of your week, or do you start your Mondays sort of with a weekly list and then delegate what you need to do?
Well, mostly on the weekend, maybe Sunday, I would kind of go through what I have to do, what I want to do that week,
Mhm.
and kind of make a list.
Yeah.
And that list, of course, changes Monday morning
Yeah,
with the priorities that as a freelancer, we can't just
a
make a
living
list.
list.
And
A living list.
yeah, it's a living list. So I have to adjust very often what has priority.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm glad that you approach that as like a professional thing task. I often beat myself up over that and go, just do it as you wrote it, like
Yeah.
I think I'm like I've got a short attention span or something, like changing priorities. But no, you just have a restructure. So
Yeah.
clients, what's your client work mostly consist of? Do you do logo design or what's your
Yeah, mostly logo design, some branding also. Since I'm also a graphic designer, I have some clients that I worked with before and that are steady clients, so I take care of that also. So business cards, everything, graphic design wise. And for the lettering, it's work in progress.
in what way? Like you're not finding
I,
that you're getting a lot of inquiries about that, or
no, I'm still trying to figure out how to get
reach your
clients. Yeah, because I switched.
I saw
Now I
you do a
have
really cool was it Lady Bling or something? I saw you do,
Lady Bling Bling. Yeah,
yeah, that looked
yeah,
beautiful. That was a custom lettering job, was it?
yeah. That was a custom lettering, but most of my clients actually don't know that I do it
Ah, so it's an
custom.
education thing. Like
Yeah, they would contact me about a logo, and then I see an opportunity to make something really custom for them, and that's what I usually do. So I have to explain that any changes or anything, it's not that easy to make when everything is
tech.
custom.
Yeah.
It's not a
You changed
font,
the
so
brand name. Yeah.
yeah, that actually happened. Yeah.
No.
Yeah, I have to do it all over again then.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, that's it's a constant learning process,
Have
the
you found
marketing part and everything.
have you been able to automate any of that in have you been able to maybe write an article about it that you could send them to, or do you find you need to talk and run through it personally?
It depends because some clients know a little bit more about design and worked with designers before,
Yeah.
but usually when someone contacts you for a logo, they just starting out, and there are things that I like to explain to each of those clients, just so they know what to expect from the project, how it will go, and everything, because most of them never worked with a designer before.
Yeah, fair enough.
So
Yeah.
I have a kind of list of how the process goes, and I
Mhm.
usually send that to them so they know what to expect
Okay.
and what I need from them in order to do my
Yeah,
job.
right. Well, it's often the case, isn't it? Like it's not a
Yeah,
one-way thing where the project's dumped in your lap and you'll come back later with a
yeah,
product. It's sort of
yeah,
something that both people need to communicate, both parties.
yeah.
And do you get mostly English clients or German or a mix, international?
Mostly international. I've worked with German clients and UK clients, Australian clients also. Yeah. Yeah, mostly international. Yeah.
So on to like personal sort of influences. Is there any artists that you are admiring lately that you really respect and follow, or Who would you
Oh,
say
there are
influences
so many.
you? Yeah.
So many, but I followed from the beginning.
Mhm.
When I started, it was Martina Flor.
Oh yeah.
Uh, I found her book in a art store, and that was it. Like I want to do that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Jessica Hirsch, Louise Feely, all of them. They're also great teachers, and they share their process, which was really helpful for someone like me just starting out, figuring stuff out. It
Absolutely.
was really helpful that they shared their process.
Yeah. We're so lucky, aren't we, to have
Yeah,
such amazing kind of, role models,
definitely.
really, like people that are
Yeah,
willing to spend the time to,
yeah,
yeah, inform people. That's amazing.
yeah, definitely.
Cool. And so what about learning wise? Like, I know that you're keen on courses. I saw you did Letter Shop's
Yeah.
course on Insta. Was that about Instagram?
Instagram marketing. It
Yeah. How
was.
did that go?
Yeah.
Was that
Yeah,
useful?
that was a that was a hard class,
Was
which
it?
is really good, because
Okay. She challenged you then.
yeah, it was a mix of trying to find your voice
Uh-huh.
and trying to figure out the algorithm and how to find the people that you connect with.
With. Right. Okay.
Yeah, it was really awesome. I would recommend it to anyone.
She
And
has gone through such a transformation. Like I've been following her for
yeah,
a long time, and
yeah,
work has evolved. And so many times I thought she had her style nailed, like back when she was doing sort of black with like kind of red and yellow and aqua colors. She had a real color palette
hmm,
she was using consistently.
yeah,
I was seeing a real pattern, and now she's just like, yeah, and
yeah.
crazy,
She found.
crazy dialed into her. Yeah, she knows who she is. I like it.
Yeah, yeah.
And
That's what
shaped
she's
into
trying to teach.
natural. Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. So was there much one-on-one on that, or were you guys following like was it through Patreon? Because she seems to be using that a lot.
uh, yeah, that was kind of first time she published the class was through Patreon, I think, and then later you could buy the class from her website directly,
Yeah.
and she would send you every 3 days, I think, or 4 days. She
Mhm.
would send you a video that
Oh,
you watch, and on Discord, everyone was there, and you could ask questions and feedback.
oh,
And
cool.
after the class,
Office
there
hours.
was a
Yeah, right.
there was a one-on-one call with her
Okay.
to kind of walk through everything and uh,
Really? So
give
hands-on
you.
time. That's special. That's good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was really helpful, and there are so many things that I still didn't have time to do actually from the class.
Mhm.
There's so much that she walks you through and gives you advice, and you have to do this and this and this and this, and I'm like, oh my god, when do I do all this, and it was really awesome class.
I know. I had quite a bit to do with do you know Dustin from Retro Supply?
Yeah,
For a
yeah.
little while, and the pace that he got, like I met him from a course I did with him a long time ago, and then we became friends, and we had I did a bit of work for him, and his pace is just, I'm in awe. I'm like, just get stuff done. And I think these people, they're just good decision makers. I think that's
Yeah,
where my issue can sometimes, I see a flaw in my own kind of, method is, and perhaps that's not having someone to bounce stuff off, maybe, I'm not sure, or not getting in a rhythm yet much, enough I'm still early days in terms of my own business and development, and still finding where I fit and whatever. So perhaps there's brand work that needs to be done in order that feeds into all those other decisions, and then you have the confidence to kind of move forward with pace.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, it's interesting, and I like that we're connecting, because I feel like, I feel like I'm going to see your journey change, and I'm going to see you grow as well, because I've already seen, a lot of changes in your brand and your style. It's
Yeah.
really interesting. And I know you're a fan of book covers. You love illustrating book covers. Is that right?
Yeah, it's a new project actually from the Letter Shop class,
Oh, right.
because yeah, it was the first a couple of lessons you're trying to find that something that you love
Mm-hmm.
and you care about personally,
Right.
and kind of making work around that, which will attract people, like-minded people, to your audience. So that was the premise of the start of the class.
Yeah.
And since I was trying to get better for a long time, I kind of concentrated only on work, and I didn't have any hobbies on the side, and everything was kind of everything was kind of connected to lettering itself. Trying to get better. Then I had to sit down and look at myself and try to figure out what it is that I care about that could resonate with other people, and that's where books came in.
Awesome. No, that's really cool, because it's something that can you can call on for inspiration massively, can't you, with that sort of, especially books are so rich in inspiration. So that's cool.
Yeah, that was my first thought, books. And that's the only thing that I kind of did outside of the work.
Right.
So it made sense. Yeah.
Yeah. Real. Yeah. And so could you take us through your process of designing a book cover? Like, how do you go about that?
Well, first one was kind of trying stuff out. Mm-hmm. And I just had this idea in my head, and I just did that one idea, which came out terrible, of course, because it was my first one and didn't really go through the process properly. And then, as it happens, Jessica Hirsch published a class on
I remember commenting on because you doing book covers, and I was like, no way, that's an awesome class. Go take it.
Just right before I started my second one, it was like she published a class. I'm like, thank you.
Yes.
I kind of picked up a lot of things from her to better my process. And of course, reading the book first is the first step.
See, now I know why you've done it. That means you can read more books. Yes. Right.
Yeah. So for the second one, I did, the whole process. I read the book, kept notes while I was reading about some tiny details that kind of connected with me while I was reading. Yeah. Anyone could make a cover for a book, and each one would be completely different because you resonate with different things while you read. And I was writing some words, like just quick notes while I was reading. And then after, you kind of sit down and try to do thumbnail sketches, just lay it out. And I think I have. Is it okay if I show some of my sketches? Yeah. Okay, really nothing fancy.
Oh, that's so cool. No, I love it. Yes.
Just quick,
awesome.
Really quick ideas, and the more you have, the better.
Yeah.
And after that goes to the iPad, and then I would refine the idea and see if it works. In Procreate.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And would you just use like a sketching brush for that? Because you're more lettering than calligraphy, right? So you're sketching, drawing letters rather than using pressure-sensitive brushes? Yeah,
first one is always just a sketching brush, and then I do, it kind of emulates the process of the actual traditional lettering. So there's a sketch first, and then I ink the letters later. And so I basically used two brushes for that, just to get the idea refined enough.
Would you say that there's a difference between like thinking up the creative for a book cover that already has a film attached to it, that like maybe there's sort of does that make it harder or easier? Or
Yeah, the second one I did was Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children, and I actually read the book before the movie came out, and I was so afraid I'm gonna put the movie in the cover that
Yes.
I really had to read the book again and kind of try to remember what I thought about it the first time I read it. Yeah, it is definitely harder when there's a movie, because you have that in your head, you have that sort of aesthetic already in your mind from the movie.
For sure.
Yeah, it's definitely harder.
Yeah. Cool. That is so awesome. I love that, you've got like this a way of like bringing your creative process outside of work. That's cool. So if you had, would that be your dream project, or if you
definitely
project, that would be what you would do?
Yeah, definitely. A book cover is something that I always wanted to do, even before I even started. It's like when you read a book and try to figure out what the cover means, and sometimes judging by the cover. And I always had this kind of idea each time I read the book, I would do it this way, or I would add this element to the cover, but I never had the guts to actually try and make the cover that I wanted. So this is kind of the beginning of my cover journey.
And I think, the more that you put out, like the more people are going to see, you can really take this process through from beginning to end. That's a skill that you master by practice, and then clients will find you and see the work that they want. So that's awesome.
That's the idea.
Yeah, definitely. So I know that you have just launched a class on Skillshare. That is an achievement. Well done. It's not easy putting together a course. I know what you mean. I'm knee deep in one myself, and I've been working on it, it feels like, for years, but finally making progress. So yours is all about script lettering and vectorizing script lettering, right? And you're using Affinity rather than Illustrator, which I like. And do you prefer Affinity for vectorizing?
Actually, I switched last year, I think, completely to Affinity. I do all of my work there now, and what I like about Affinity the most is how it's super fast, and there's no crashing, there's no, I don't even have a feeling of software while I work, if you know what I mean. I just do the work. Nothing is popping out or stopping me from doing my work. So there are a couple of features that kind of are missing, but hopefully they will add more features in later updates.
They're still sort of releasing sort of things all the time, and software's always been living, doesn't it? They change it. But it's so cool to see you using Affinity, actually, because I started to get into that earlier this year, late last year, and discovered a way. I'll post in the comments below both your class and just a little tutorial I have as well using Affinity of vectorizing lettering. So on starting in Procreate and using Adobe Capture to create the shape, and then using Affinity. So I think you were using it on the computer, right? So you moved from the iPad to the computer, or from traditional to the computer?
Yeah, sometimes traditional, because the method that I'm teaching in the class doesn't rely on live trace. So you will do the vectorizing with the pen tool 1 point by 1 point.
Well, there's those kind of, purists out there that would be like, well, that's the way you do it, isn't it?
I think it's actually easier later if you want to make any changes and, do any adjustments to the lettering. It's much easier when you don't have 1,000 points to take care of. So it kind of gets easier with time. And I know it's hard thing to learn. I it took me a while.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. But
Yeah,
it's practice, isn't it? And you can't be scared of it. You're not going to do anything wrong. You're not going to sort of break anything.
Yeah, nothing's going to happen. Yeah.
Well, I recommend people to go and watch that class. So I'll definitely be posting a link to that so they can find it. Would you say that vectorizing is important for people outside of commercial kind of client work? I know that you do it a lot, even just for your personal projects. Would you recommend?
Yeah. Well, it depends on your kind of style. I prefer that clean vector style to my finished lettering, and it really is just a preference for me. So I can kind of fix all the mistakes that I did by hand, and then I do the final work in vector. But it is a good thing to know when the clients do come sometimes. If someone is just starting out and you never know what's going to happen in a year or two or even in a month. So it's a really good thing to know, to be prepared to deliver vector files to the clients.
For sure.
Because logo design always has to go with vector files.
Yes, and in case people don't know, I guess the reasons mainly for that is that it can be scaled, right? So you scale both up and down. If you do that with pixel artwork or raster artwork, you lose quality, so you get pixelation and it becomes not clear. But whereas vector artwork is not pixels, it's on what do they call it? Point I guess.
I call it math usually. It's just mathematical formulas represented.
It's not a real thing. It's a mathematical equation, and it figures it out. So you can scale it as big, and there's no limits as to how many times you scale it up and down.
Yeah, you can do whatever you want.
Yeah.
So, whatever you want with it. So I always do the vector version. Sometimes I'm kind of lazy and I don't do it, but it really is something that I think people can benefit from to learn. Just if not needed now, just to have kind of in a back ready to when it is needed.
Yeah, and also I think once you sort of spend a bit of time with it, you understand the scenarios where it's useful. So it might not be something you pull out all the time, but at least you're not intimidated or scared by it anymore or confused and out of your depth. You get it.
Yeah, definitely.
And you can offer it if you need to, or bring it into your own work if you need to. Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, I won't take any more of your time. I'm so glad that you were able to make it today, and it's been really cool chatting to you.
It was really cool. Thank you so much for having me.
So welcome. No problem. So I'll leave a link to Ivana's class below, as well as her Instagram and her website. So make sure to check out her work. And hopefully we'll be doing more interviews like this in the future. So if any of you guys have anyone that you want me to talk to, then please leave a comment below and I'll definitely do my best to make that happen. So thanks again. And
Thank you.
Okay, see ya. Bye.
Bye.